This jet has hidden potential that you might miss. This video breaks down what works, what's possible, and how to get the most from it. For those of you that don't know, I'm Chris, a former fast jet flying instructor, and I've spent hours practicing and digging into this aircraft systems. So if you're after realism or just some extra fun, there are features worth discovering if you know where to look. Let's take a look at what this jet and Microsoft Flight Sim is capable of. Alright, here we are in the cockpit. 1970s design, in service with the French Air Force, 1980s. All the switches are labelled in French apart from the ones that say rad out. It is a fairly complex beast if you're not used to fast jets, but I will make it so much more simple for you. It's quite easy to start up, I promise. Round the cockpit, main panels you want are the electrics up here. We'll put all of those on. Once you've got that on, you can also switch, so you need the external power, which is top right. Once you've got that on, you can do your center panel, and straight away you can start playing with the INS, which we'll do in just a second. You can also load your weapon, so I've done that already. If you press FAL down the lower left, you can then use the up, down, left, right, X and tick to load stuff on. I've already done that for convenience, but it's a fairly simple process. Get FAL to get rid of that. You can, if you want to, skip the INS alignment, so this is the INS panel here. And you've got another control panel further aft the INS. We're going to play with that in just a second. But ultimately, if you want to go to the startup, it's this panel. Put all the switches on and then press this circular button under the cover and the engine will start. And if you want to add a little bit more source to your profile, to your startup, then you can add some lights as you go. Now, top tip is to put the tooltips on to start with so you actually know what they are and you'll quickly get used to them. So I'm going to put the nav light on now because the aircraft is switched on and I'm sat in it. Okay, what we need to do is the INS alignment, so let's crack on with that. And I'll use my notes off the other screen just so I don't miss anything. So you have to have the battery on. Key point, do not switch the battery off after you've loaded it because you'll lose all your waypoints, and at the moment I can't find a way, and I haven't seen in the manual, that you can load the flight plan from your world map or Microsoft Flight Sim plan into the avionics yet. I hope they do it, but at the moment you have to do it all manually, which is kind of good, it's authentic, but also a bit of a pain in the ass. Right. So battery's on, you want this into normal, you want this switch into VEI, and you want this switch into L and G. What that'll give you is your present position, which is 43, 41, 007, 13, 3, and you can also check that the alt is in there at 18 feet. So I've written that down, ready to put that into my present position. So currently that's in as 00. What we want to do is enter it as 01. So to do that, we click prep, we hit 01. That gives us a blank line to enter, and then we use the keypad to enter the numbers we just had in. So, north, 43, 40, and 1, insert, and then onto the east, 007, 007 of course, 13, and a 3, insert. Now we can rotate this to alt, and it doesn't label it here, but 1 is feet and 3 is meters, but we'll go for feet, and that was 18 feet, insert. So now we have set our 001 position. Once we've done that, we can go to align the system. So down to the lower right, we want to set STS because that'll then display our accuracy and the alignment process. And we can either select ALN or ALCM or N, bad vision here. But we're going to do the quick version. Let's say align up here and then we'll validate. Once you click validate, you'll see minutes up on the left hand side. These count in seconds because we're doing the quick align, otherwise it'd be minutes. Then it says prep, which means it's ready, and that's alignment complete with all the zeros. Then we can go back down to the control panel here. We'll put it back to normal, back to nav, and then we can enter the flight plan. So we're good to go here. You can skip ahead if you don't want the flight plan, or I'll show you how to do that right now. So here we have the planner that Miltech provide us. It's just a basic web address here. I'll put it in the link below. You can have a play with it. It's just a click and drag thing. What I would recommend is, as we've already filled in waypoint 1, I'll drop the first one somewhere down here. We're not going to use it, but you'll notice lower right, it'll just build up those waypoints. And then at least the number you have on your waypoint entry will match what's on the screen here. So we're at Nice, LFMN is the airfield. We're going to head up to the north once we're ready for the nav. We'll drop a point here because this valley is phenomenal. Definitely have to fly through this. I can't believe I haven't found this place before. And then what we'll do is we'll find a spot where we come south, sorry, around here, we're not going to really fly this perfectly, it's just to demonstrate it a little bit. And then we'll pop back out around about here and then come back to 04 left. There we go, so it is all working for us. Now we'll use the ILS here, the veer-while capability, which you can see just lower right here. We'll use that as well just to demonstrate how to use it. And then you can either click them to remove them or you can click them to drag them. Really simple, and that is our route complete. But now we need to add this into our INS. So let's do that quickly, and I'll fast forward it once we've done the first one. You get the idea. So here we go. We're going to prep for 02. That's waypoint 2, and we want north. Looking off the corner of my eye, that is going to be 43, 49, and then round it as you need to. Done. Insert, and then east. We're going to go for 00710 5. 00710 5. Insert. You can probably change the altitude. I'm not going to bother, to be fair. That's good enough for me. And that's entered. So now we just go on to prep 03 and we complete the rest. So I'll demo most of the INS navigation once we're airborne, but a quick double check that we've got everything in and dialed properly. We'll see what our bearing and range is to each one. So if I go to DRLT on this rotary knob, and then I go up to here, change this to nav, and then I change the waypoint destination, dest, to 01. Now we've got a bearing and range and a 0.1 because that's our present position. Now I can enter in whatever I like in here, 05, all the waypoints, and it'll show me my bearing and range, or lat long, or whatever you want to do. And you can also see it up here, but you have to be in nav for the range to match. So you've got 1.4, 1.4, etc, etc. So that works, and the other option of doing that is you can click up and down on this switch here, and you can see the arrow moving and the range moving, and it'll just match what's on the INS. So we'll use some of that when we're airborne, but for now I'll leave it on waypoint 2 because that's going to be our first destination after takeoff. So now we've completed the INS alignment and flight plan load, we'll go ahead and finish up in this aircraft. What I'm going to remember to do now is put 10995 for the 04 left ILS. We'll use that when we come back. TACAN is also there if you need to, and you can see it on the BDHI, I think, bearing distance heading indicator. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then you've also got the heading bug around the outside. So that's all set up. We've got something here we can put to automatic. I have no idea what it is or if it works, probably not. And then we're going to switch it on. Let's do this. So to start the engine, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and start. And we'll probably shut the canopy as well. Right, so the engine has started. You'll notice you've got a couple of caution warnings here. This one's external power, which will switch off, and then you've got your park and brake applied, which is cool. And we can go ahead, you'll notice that's the first stage of canopy lowering, and we can shut that all away. Job done. We can also switch on some extra lights if we want to. I have no idea which ones these are. Formation we probably don't need. Strobe lights, yeah, let's put that on now, why not? Taxi light in a minute. And beacon light, I probably could have had the beacon light on there. There we go, that'll do. You'll notice there's no stick there. You can click to have the stick in and out. You can also click to in out the throttle, so that's quite useful. And we'll get to playing around here a little bit when we're airborne, I think. Final point, and it's always the bone of contention, nose wheel steering. It's not automatic, you need to enable it. It's click on the front of the stick. And I believe in version 1.1 they have a key binding for it. It might be toggle alternator 4, but please check the manual for that. He certainly is a looker. Now I can't guarantee I haven't missed something, but if I do I'll just pick it up when we're airborne. It'll be all right, I'm sure. So takeoff brief, we're going to take off from here, we're going to be heading to the south and west. We're going to hoof off, in fact let's play with the autopilot first, I'll demonstrate that nice and quick, and then we can set up for the weapons whilst we're cruising to our first waypoint. So I'll probably peel off to the south after takeoff. I have no idea where the pitot switch is, and I don't think we have pins in here to make the seat live. I can make the mass live, so that is done. And a quick look around, no caution warnings, everything seems to be working alright, so let's give this a go. As we line up for this runway, I think it's 22, it's worth noting in the head-up display that we have a upside down T, an inverted T. That, I believe, is a line that you want to place on the horizon once you rotate, give yourself a 12-degree nose up. Any more than that, I think you risk a tail strike. So that's what we'll do. You also need to toggle in the afterburner. You have to do that each time, which is a little frustrating, but I can cope with it. Notice the afterburner is indicated with the PC green. Burner's lit. Off we go. Nice afterburner effect. Okay, about 150 I'm going to go for. Let's rotate it. It's nice and smoothly. Put that T on the horizon. Up we go. Gear. I'm going to pull the burners back because we do accelerate really quickly. I don't want to overspeed the gear. The afterburner is very powerful in this. Right, gear is up. Off we go to the moon. Very, very powerful aircraft, or at least as modelled it certainly is. Okay, this is the way we're going to go. Old school stuff. Alright, autopilot first off. So autopilot, everything's on this panel here. You can click the autopilot on, and the altitude, if it doesn't already, click it and it will pick up your nearest altitude pretty much, so 7,500. Then you can adjust it as you need to. If you adjust it too much and you want to go up and down, there is the toggle here, I believe, and that will increase or decrease the rate of climb and descent. The other thing you might want to do is select nav, and then the aircraft will follow the heading bug, as you can see it starting to turn. So let's change that to the east. If you find it's doing something funny or it's not doing what you want it to, you might have to retoggle it. I've not found a jet in Microsoft Flight Sim that doesn't have a bit of a funny autopilot. But that's autopilot. Simple stuff. If you've got any questions, chuck them down below. So now we want to kind of fence in ready for our route. And we are steering to 2. That is 16.6 miles away. If you want to know how long it will take you to get there, you can rotate to TRVS. That says 3 minutes if we were going straight there, I guess, and a ground speed of 373 knots. So that's kind of useful stuff. Autopilot looks like it is doing a sound job. I think I can probably get it turning for me whilst I do the rest. Okay, we want to get the bombs and the missiles ready to go. So here we go. We have the master arm already selected. On the left hand 2, not including CAS, you have the options for the missiles. So I think I've done both of those, and you'll see S when it's preparing, I think, and then P when it's ready. When that's complete, over to the right hand side you'll see MISS and MAG over here. Depending which one you select is which missile is going to go. If you select it, it is a P, and then the head-up display, you'll see that you have this marker. That is it. The missile is now ready to fire, and to fire it, it's toggle water rudder, I believe. So let's have a look outside at this go. And again. Nice. You notice that light's gone out, so we'll go to the left hand one. Let's see what our routing's doing. So you can't get it's going off there. Whilst I remember, you can't get this to automatically follow your route. If you're trying to get it to do that, it won't. You have to keep using the heading bug and lining it up with your arrow. So watch out for that gotcha. Let's fire a couple more missiles. Let's do that. Sounded like or it didn't sound like it reloaded the sound effect for that. But that's pretty cool. I like that. I like the smoke effects. I like the fact they go off and do their own thing. Happy days. That's the missiles complete. I will out of habit, deselect those, and then I'll go for BL1. BL1 is the dumb bomb. They're both dumb bombs, even if it says LGB, laser guided bomb. But maybe in future, you never know, they might come up with a solution. But this aircraft doesn't have a laser on it, so if you wanted to do laser guided bombing, you'd have to have a buddy laser or ground-based laser, something like that. So we've done autopilot, we're navigating inbound. It's difficult to see with the sun on here, but let's have a look if we can range this. So this is the range toggle, and you can see I've got 10-mile marker here. 10 is how far away, 10 is the range, 10 is on the INS. That is the point we're navigating to. So let's start going down to that. We'll switch everything off, go have some fun with it. Yes. It's a little bit more sluggish than I would expect. But c'est la vie, c'est la vie. I have no experience with it as it is. Right, which way are we going? Anyone know where we're going? Somewhere like this. He says as he's getting lost. Here we go, this way. Let's go this way. Ah, it's a bit further up here, that's why I'm getting a bit lost. And that marker's a bit close. Let's see if I can dial it out a little bit. That'll do, he says as he tries not to crash. Okay. There we go. There's my turn point. Right, for the bombs, we've got a CCIP, continuously calculated impact point. Essentially wherever the pipper is, if it's on the ground, that's where the bomb should land. As it's implemented, it's not perfect, but let's give this a go. So we've got master arm, we've got the weapon selected, and everything's good. If you go faster than 440 knots, you'll find that you get a breakaway cross, and if you bank up too much, you'll get a breakaway cross as well. So let's give this a go. Right, let's see. Anything? Anything? Oh, there it is. Small crater. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. Right, we'll loose off a couple more bombs in a minute, but we're going to fly through this valley. This valley is epic. Absolutely epic. I can't believe I didn't find this until now. Right, we need to manually select the next steer point. So I think I've done that. Steer point 3, waypoint 3, whatever. And you get a range in the HUD, 14 miles. I don't know if you get a bearing. You see that breakaway cross because I'm banked up. Look at this. It's exceptional. Look at this. Happy days. Right, if you want to do some bombing around these mountains, a great way of doing it is a little pop-up attack. So kind of this, and then over bank. And then what I'm going to try and do, I've done an external camera view from outside, so it might be that we can have a view of the bomb going off. Let's try that. In fact, you know what, I'm not going to because I'll mess up the sim. I've had some issues with it previously. Bombs away. Oh, you can see that one go. Tracking, 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 tracking. Did I see it go? Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea where I am now. I was watching the camera too much. So that's the bomb. The other things we're going to do is a gun. We have 2 other bombs though. Let's loose those off whilst we're here. LGB. How's my navigation? Having so much fun in the valley. Absolutely nuts around here. Right, S&P. Works out nicely. Oh, let's try it. Let's do it anyway. There we go. Look at that. Oh, see what happens? That's so weird. Bombs away. Hopefully if I press weapon again. Yeah, I think it's the key assignment I've got for the smart camera. It turns it on and off. Hey ho. Right, bombs are done. Let's steer ourselves to the next point. So we're 19 miles off to the left. We don't have that on screen. It's just out of range a little bit. We'll deselect our weapons and head on up this mountain. Yeehaw! Alright, we've got more weapons to do, so on this navigation we're doing all the weapons, and then we'll do some chaff and player afterwards as well. Navigating's fine, we're all looking good, we're way too fast, we'll try and control that. We'll follow this valley down to the south. So, bombs have been deselected. Guns, here we go. So in order to select guns, it is a separate arming switch, which is this one here. If you can see it, click that on. And then where it says CAS, I mentioned that earlier, if you click it once you get K1, and that gives you one gun. Click it again, you get K1 and K2, that gives you both guns, and you get the pipper in the head-up display. And you also get C, which I think is the rounds, and gun selected in the HUD. So there's lots of good things in there. The other thing I forgot to mention, I've got the throttle disappeared as well, should really put that back, is you have a weapon page here that shows you what's on there, which is pretty cool. So there's lots of little things in here that you wouldn't expect, but you just got to play around with it to find them. So let's press deck again. I can't see what I'm doing. Right, throttle's back, stick's back, we're back. Right, I've reset myself because my sim messed up, so I'm back to roughly where I was. We're gun armed, K1, K2, gun pipper in there, and the keybind is also toggle water rudder, but you have to have it in as a repetitive entry, so check the settings of your keybind, and if you're not getting a repetitive cannon machine gun type thing, then that's probably why. So let's give this a go. Now you don't see splashes on the ground, but you do have traces. Nice. Let's have a look from outside. Trying not to crash. Good-o. Good-o. Right, where are we? We're pretty much at our turn point, 1 mile. Let's increment up to our next one, which is waypoint 5, which is home. It is home. Home is over there. We've done a complete lap so far. Next we're going to do flare. So let's get ourselves a little bit of altitude, otherwise I'll distract myself. We'll deselect the gun, deselect all of that. We'll keep master arm because I presume it's required for the flare. I can't confirm that. Here's the flare control panel. These buttons don't work, but we have off, which is A. We have is that SA as one press, one flare, I think. And then you have automatic, which I think picks up where you select the rotary knob. The rotary knob is in the manual. You get a sequence of flares put out automatically, and that's good for defeating set threats. That beep in the background, by the way, was an over alpha. I think 28, 29 alpha is the limit. 30 alpha perhaps. Alright, so let's punch out some flares. And we can put some autopilot on as well. Out. Out picks it up. Autopilot out. That's cool. Now for the flares, I think that one is toggle alternator 3, I believe. Let's give that a go. And this one does 2 sequences, which is pretty cool. That's pretty basic. If you're upside down, they still go down, but it looks pretty cool. Oh my word. How absolutely unreal does that look? Huh? That gave me some goosebumps. That's very cool. I like that a lot. Whilst we're at night, let's have a look at the lighting. So here's the lighting. Lighting switches, internal lighting are these rotary knobs here. Let's have a look what this one does. The red, that's all right. Don't mind that. There's a big one as well. Oh, big flood. Wow. Disco party. Not a fan of that. What else we got? We've got a couple here. That gives you the switch lighting, I think. Ooh. Wow. You can have this lit up like a Christmas tree. Then you've got your LCD sections, and and then a bright light here, which is all right. It looks a little flat on the front of the cockpit, but not bad. But cruise around like this, I like it. It's pretty cool. Lovely views out there. Now, one thing to note that I have noticed as I'm flying along, you can see the nose is really low, so we're kind of negative alpha as we're flying along, which is kind of weird. That is definitely not the right attitude for a level flight. What do you think? Alright, let's see what the slow speed handling's like. The flying T-38, that had, well, it's controllable. All it did was shake and then fall. Over alpha and a stall. 70 knots, 60 knots, full back stick. Oh, it's telling me off something rotten, isn't it? You know what, that's about right. That's about right. Yeah, alright. I'd expect a lot of buffet and stuff and wing rock, but that's kind of next level simulation. That's alright. I think it's time to go home, isn't it? That's the lake that we started at. That's that epic valley that we went down. Anyone else notice the reflections in the canopy are a little bit extreme? And I've noticed that on all aircraft. I think it's a Microsoft thing. You need to dial it down significantly. Right, next we're going to talk about VOR and TACAN. Radio navigation, that's what we're going to talk about. So we have waypoint 5 selected, we're 9.6 miles away. You can see that is over here. There are loads of buttons, by the way, on here that most don't work, some do. I haven't played with any traffic visualizations or anything like that, but there's a few switches to play down there. I'm not going to cover that this time. It's the one thing I won't dive into. Otherwise we'll be here all day. VOR navigation. So the little needle points to your ILS or TACAN. I presume it's on VOR. TACAN's not being picked up. We have a nav CV selection. So if let me do this as a way of a demonstration. Let me steer to waypoint 2, which is behind us, I think. Yep, so now that arrow is completely nonsensical. And we're going to change this over to CV nav. Now the range is matching the needle and they're both pointing towards the ILS for 04 left. So VOR in the left hand side here, and you've got the TACAN on the right. There is a TACAN setting up here. So that's how you do the radio aids navigation. Now I don't think, there isn't the course bar, there's no option for an ILS, I believe, although it does say VOR ILS. Maybe something for the next video. If you know how the ILS works, let me know. But for the most part, as long as that needle's pointing 040, which is here, then we'll be lined up with the runway. That's all you need to know. Simple stuff. So we now need to recover. We're going back to do a landing. So we are thoroughly Winchester. It is time to go home. And I'll show you how to land this with reasonable success and using the brake chute. So giving ourselves some space. We can deselect the mass. It's always good to have everything safe and deselected for the approach. That's cool. The one thing on this weapon control panel you will need is approach enabled with a P, and that will give you the reverse square brackets, which gives you an alpha indication. We'll talk about that more once we're configured. How far are we away? Up to sea, 7 miles. That'll do. So we've got the steering in, we've got our approach set up, we've made everything safe that we need to. Approach speed for this with the low fuel-ish lightweights 145 to 150 knots. That should give you about 14 alpha. Alpha gauge is on the left hand side, green bracket. So that, I presume, your approach alpha. So you have to sit to the side if you want to see that. The other thing you can use is, like I said, the square brackets in the head-up display, which we will do now. So speed brake out. Speed brake indicates down here. Slow ourselves down. Low 250-ish, that'll do for the gear, I hope. Nice. Through the centre line, but it's fine. I'm just trying to slow down a little bit. Now you need to sit up to see those square brackets. Let's get ourselves going down. That's it. So there's the square brackets around about where the velocity vector is. Better to be lucky than good. 150 knots. There's the square brackets, there's the velocity vector. You've got little arrows for your excess power, so as long as those little arrows aren't above the velocity vector, you shouldn't be accelerating. You want them about level. And then you can see, well, the alpha shows 10 down there for some reason. Maybe I'm just not quite slow enough. 161 knots, that makes sense. I'm low alpha. I am high on the glide path, so we'll fix that. Let's go down. Next thing, we've got chute. Let's deploy the chute. Well, not deploy. We want that forwards to arm the chute, and then it's combined with your speed brake switch. So whatever you use for spoiler speed brakes, that'll put the chute out. Be careful, because at the time of recording, like everything, version 1.1, it is not weight on wheels protected from what I see. So if I was to put the speed brake out now, you'd also see the brake chute. Alright, we're doing alright now. Little alpha gauge is in the green mark. 145 knots. One red pappy. Oh yes, this is looking very nice. Try not to distract myself. Oh, that's cool. Need to get the footage. And in doing that, I've gone a bit long, but I'll accept it. A little bit fast. Easy to overflare, quite sensitive with the gear down. We're down. Promise, we are down. Speed brake and shoot. Trying to stay straight. Oh yeah, it's not bad. And it auto cuts at 30 knots. So what do I think of this aircraft? I think it's a little bit rough around the edges. It looks fantastic. You know, things like flickering speed indicators and the missile animations are good. They're not quite as good as the Sidewinder one on the Hawk T1, but they are pretty good. If they can get the weapons even better with accuracy, brilliant. But you know what? There's just a lot to dig into. I really enjoyed reading the manual, and it's quite an authentic experience. So don't let it put you off. Yes, I know it's got French lettering and French words everywhere. I know the weapon system is pretty tricky. The INS, if you want to use that, and the navigation is a bit of a barrier if you just want to hoon along and follow a GPS route. There's no GPS on this aircraft. It's just INS, so you've got to use it. But hopefully, if you refer back to this video and the timestamps I'll chuck in as well, you should have enough to really go and have some fun with this. But if you've got any comments or questions, put those down in the usual place. I'll try my best to answer them, but time is short. Until the next time, take care.